All right, let's jump right in. When you talk about the absolute giants of cinema, you've got to talk about Michelangelo Antonioni. His films are, well, they're monuments. They're gorgeous, they're incredibly influential, and once you see them, you never forget them. But let's be honest, for a lot of us, they're also just really puzzling. They don't play by the rules we expect movies to follow, which brings us to the big question, right? Why does watching an Antonioni film sometimes feel like you've been handed this beautiful, complex puzzle box, but with half the pieces missing? It's a totally fair question. His movies, they don't give you easy answers or these nice, tidy endings, and they for sure do not follow the playbook of your average Hollywood blockbuster. And you know what? That feeling of, what just happened? That's not you getting it wrong, that's the whole point. As the critic Jeff Andrews said, his movies are hard to pin down on purpose. But here's the key. The thing you have to understand, Antonioni wasn't just trying to be difficult for the heck of it. No, he was up to something way, way bigger. He wasn't trying to tell you a story so much as he was trying to show you a feeling, a specific feeling that he believed was starting to take over the modern world. So that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna investigate that central mystery. We're gonna look at the world that he saw, how he literally broke the rules of filmmaking to capture it, and what he was really trying to show us about, well, about ourselves. Okay, so first things first. To get Antonioni, you have to get the world that shaped him. His most famous films didn't just pop out of nowhere. They grew out of a really specific time and place, a moment of just incredible, dizzying change, and a whole new kind of anxiety. So check out this timeline. It's wild. After World War II, Italy is basically in ruins. But then this economic miracle happens. Starting in the 50s and exploding into the 60s, the country industrializes at a truly breakneck speed. All of a sudden, there are new factories, new cities, new cars, new money. Society was totally transformed. And while that sounds great, all that progress created this profound feeling of being unmoored. All the old traditions, the old ways of life were just vanishing, leaving people feeling kind of lost in this shiny new world. And that feeling of being lost brings us to the absolute heart of Antonioni's work. It's this one big idea, incommunicability. It's a fancy word, but what it means is this really strange paradox where people, even though they're surrounded by all this new stuff, all this wealth and modern convenience, they suddenly can't connect, like really connect with each other. They're talking, sure, but nobody's really communicating. It's like an emotional desert opened up right in the middle of all this progress. And this contrast you see here, this is everything. On one hand, you've got all the signs of success, right? The economic boom, the new cities, all this cool technology. But on the other hand, you have what Antonio saw as the price of all that: alienation, loneliness, and this deep, nagging feeling of, what's the point? This was the mystery he wanted to solve. But how on earth do you make a movie about a void, about an emptiness, about something that isn't there? Well, Antonioni's answer was totally radical. He figured you can't explore this new, modern emptiness with an old-fashioned story. So he just took the story apart. He deconstructed it. And the most legendary example of this is his 1960 film, L'Avventura. So get this, the film premieres at Cannes, the most prestigious film festival in the world, and the audience goes nuts, in a bad way. They're booing, shouting, they are furious. Why? Because the movie completely refused to play by the rules. It denied them the one thing they came to a movie for, a story. But then, overnight, something incredible happens. The critics, the other filmmakers, they all start talking, and they realize what they saw wasn't a bad movie, it was a new kind of movie. It was a revolution, and so they gave it a special award, not for its story, but for creating a, quote, new cinematic language. So, what was so crazy about it? Okay, here's the breakdown. The film starts off like a regular mystery. A woman named Anna vanishes from an island. Her fiancé, Sandro, and her best friend, Claudia, start searching for her. We think, okay, I know this movie. But then, the search just kind of fizzles out. They get distracted, they start having an affair, the entire plot just forgets about Anna. She's never found. We never find out what happened. Because Antonioni wasn't interested in the missing woman. He was interested in the emotional hole she left behind. The real mystery wasn't, where did Anna go? It was, why did everyone forget her so easily? So if you throw out the plot, what do you fill that space with? For Antonioni, the answer was the world itself. He basically invented this new way of filming where the environment, buildings, the rocks, the empty streets, they all became characters. They became a mirror for what was going on inside the characters' heads. He was literally filming their invisible feelings. And this has to be one of the most mind-blowing examples. For his first color film, Red Desert, he's telling the story of a woman who is just drowning in modern anxiety. So what does he do? He doesn't just find a location, he makes one. I mean, he literally had his crew go out and paint the real world. They painted trees and grass gray. They painted giant factory pipes a jarring red. They even painted fruit on a street vendor's cart, all to make the outside world look the way his main character felt on the inside. The landscape itself was sick with anxiety. And then he took this whole idea to its absolute extreme with Blow Up. This was his most famous film, a massive hit, actually. And if his earlier films asked if we can ever really know another person, Blow Up asks an even scarier question. Can we even trust what we see with our own two eyes? The setup seems pretty simple. You've got this super cool fashion photographer in swinging 60s London. He's just wandering through a park, and he snaps some photos of a man and a woman who seem to be having a romantic moment. He thinks nothing of it. He later says the scene was peaceful, very still, just a quiet, beautiful moment. But when he gets back to his dark room, he gets obsessed with these photos. He keeps making them bigger and bigger and bigger. He's blowing them up. And as he zooms way in, past the point of clarity, the peaceful scene just melts away, and he starts to see things. A shape in the bushes that looks like a hand holding a gun, and another grainy shape that looks an awful lot like a dead body. He's convinced he's stumbled onto a murder. He's pieced together this entire crime story just from his photos. But when he goes back to the park, the body's gone. Then someone breaks into his studio and steals the photos. All the evidence just vanishes into thin air. The movie never tells us if there was a murder. It just leaves him and us wondering if any of it was ever real at all. The closer he tried to look at reality, the more it just completely fell apart. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? Antonioni didn't just make a bunch of cool, weird movies. He fundamentally changed what a movie could be. He gave cinema a whole new way of looking at the world, a new language for exploring our own complicated inner lives. You could call it the Antonioni gaze. What does that mean? Well, it means he ditched predictable plots to hunt for a deeper, more honest emotional truth. It means he used a lonely beach or a cold modern building as if it were a main character in the story. He loved that murky gray area between what's real and what we just think is real. And maybe most important of all, he never, ever gave you easy answers. He only gave you questions. And in doing so, he, the viewer, an active partner in trying to figure it all out. And I guarantee you, his influence is everywhere today. I mean, when you watch a Sofia Coppola movie that just lingers on a character's quiet loneliness in a hotel room, that's Antonioni. Or Wim Wenders' film where the empty American landscape seems to say more than the characters do, pure Antonioni. He really did rewire the DNA of modern film. Which brings us to one last big question. Remember, Antonioni was working 60 years ago. He was talking about the anxieties of a world just getting its first taste of our modern life. But now think about our world of social media, of constant dings and notifications, a world where we're supposedly hyperconnected, but study after study shows we feel more isolated than ever. In this world where we're all desperately searching for some authentic connection through a screen, you kind of have to wonder, right? Maybe we're all just living in an Antonioni film now.